Well, it's been about 2 weeks since most people outside of the political science department at Boise State University and certain political groups ever heard of Dr. Scott Yenor. Well, you may remember the poli-sci professor spoke at a national conservatism conference in early November where he shared some rather controversial or flat out misogynistic views. For those familiar with Dr. Yenor, maybe this wasn't so shocking, these statements he made. After all, his 15-minute speech made it to Boise subreddit on November 22nd, and he posted it himself on Twitter on November 23rd, but it really didn't get much attention until it was shared by a TikTok user a day later. This TikTok user.
They are more medicated, meddlesome, and quarrelsome than women need to be.
Meet Scott Yenor. He's a political science professor at Boise State University, and he gave this speech at the beginning of November.
This is Lindsay Van Allen, a local NICU nurse who has made a name for herself on TikTok, and I'm told it's TikToker, not TikTok user, so we'll go with that. Well, she joined the social media app back in the fall of 2020, but it wasn't until she posted something about her husband being colorblind that she really started getting noticed. We're talking now with nearly 56,000 followers and nearly 4 million likes on her page. She eventually started doing posts about COVID here in Idaho because, after all, she's a nurse, and the way things were going in Idaho with the pandemic, it wasn't looking good, which would have a direct impact on her. And as you know, if it's about COVID in Idaho, it's going to eventually be about politics, which is how Lindsay stepped into that arena as well. So when Lindsay saw Dr. Yenor's speech, she knew she had to get involved.
I knew it was big. I knew it was egregious. It needed to be talked about, but I didn't realize that my TikTok would kind of be the impetus for it exploding like it did.
What's been the reaction that you've received after posting that?
Mostly positive, by and large, really positive feedback. Lots of people were also horrified. That felt good too, to know that other people felt the same way, that this was as horrifying to them as it was to me. Women belong in every field. They are an important part of every field and every part of education, that we need them.
As a woman, as a wife, as a nurse, it did kind of hit home.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I work in the medical field. I work with amazing doctors who are women. I work with amazing nurse practitioners who are women, amazing surgeons who are women, and our field would be lesser without them.
Now, going through your TikTok feed, this wasn't even the biggest one that you put out there. I mean, the one that got the most reaction. There have been other posts that have garnered as much attention, but this one was a little bit different. Why is that?
I think people could relate to this. I think people were as equally shocked and outraged as I was. I think it hit home for people who were going to Boise State, who have been his students, his colleagues, who are pursuing educations in law, medicine, in STEM fields, that they matter, that this was really directed at all women. And so there was quick organization. Some amazing people organized protests. There was several last Saturday. There was a lot of news stories that I think this hit home for a lot of people, and a lot of people felt outraged enough to want to take a stand.
So this is one of the few times, if I do say so myself, where social media has kind of served a purpose, right?
Yeah, that's something I really love about TikTok. It's very democratic, that just me, just a nurse mom woman in Idaho, can make a TikTok about something that I think is egregious or problematic, and it can instantly go viral. And so it can have that far-reaching impact that I think a lot of us don't necessarily feel like we have unless we're already famous or a star or have connections. And so that is something I really think is wonderful about TikTok, is that anybody has the opportunity to present information in a way that can make it viral.
You know, I just noticed her t-shirt from that interview: medicated, meddlesome, and quarrelsome. By the way, the numbers of that post that she put out there on November 24th, 319,000 views and like 60,000 likes. So it just really took off. Lindsay tells us she was familiar with Dr. Yenor before these past few weeks. She says she was a BSU student when he got into hot water for what he said about transgenders ruining the family. Remember that? She says she was glad she could bring Dr. Yenor's statements to an audience that isn't necessarily in his social media echo chamber. Glad she could bring it attention for any sort of action or response that may come from it. Well, and so far, there hasn't been much action from the school anyway, other than a statement of support for women and many other departments as well, which many say wasn't enough. Dr. Yenor is a tenured professor, and since it is a personnel matter, Boise State tells us they can't comment on any action that may or may not be in the works. Once again, we've offered an open invitation to Professor Yenor, but we have yet to hear back from him.